I've been coaching endurance athletes for just over 30 years now. And in that time, I've worked with many athletes who are over the age of 50, who are training hard, staying committed, and doing everything they think is right. And a lot of them are getting it completely wrong. Not because they're lazy, and not because they don't care, but because they're applying rules that work brilliantly when they're in their 30s to a body that's in its 50s. So these are the 10 brutal truths I wish somebody had told them earlier. Truth number 1, you're not 35 anymore and your training shouldn't look like it. Now this is a big one. I see it all the time. Those athletes who were strong competitors in their 30s, who built their training habits in their 30s, but who were still essentially running the same approach 20 years later. So that problem isn't one of commitment. The problem is biology. Hormones are different, capacity for recovery is different, and your injury risk is different. So what built your fitness at 35 is actually breaking you down at 52. And the athletes who are thriving after 50 are the ones who stop fighting that reality and actually start working with it. Truth number 2, recovery takes longer than you think and longer than you want. At 35, you could probably hammer a hard session on Tuesday and be ready to go again on Thursday. But in your 50s, that same session might need until Saturday before you're genuinely recovered. So athletes who ignore this don't just perform worse, they start accumulating fatigue they can't see building until it's way too late. And by the time they feel it, they're already in a hole, and it is too late. So more easy days is not a sign of weakness. It's how you actually stay consistent for many months rather than just a few weeks. Truth 3, pushing through injury 12 weeks out from your race isn't discipline, it's a big gamble. I've had countless conversations with athletes about this when they come to me with a niggle 10 to 12 weeks out and they decide they don't have time to let it heal. So they try to train through it. They modify the plan slightly and they tell themselves it'll be fine. And sometimes they get away with it and it's okay, but often it isn't. And the ones who end up on the start line undertrained because they finally had to stop at week 8 would have been much better served taking 10 days off at the start of the injury. Because that injury you ignore, it never really goes away, it just waits until a bad moment. Truth 4, and we've all done this, cutting sleep to make getting more training is the worst trade you can make. Getting up at 4:45 to squeeze in a session before work feels really committed, and I understand that because I've done it myself. But time's the currency that athletes over 50 are shortest on. Sleep is where adaptation happens. It's where your body processes the training load, repairs tissue, and then consolidates those fitness gains. So if you cut sleep to train more, then you're adding stress while removing the very mechanism that turns stress into improvement. So you should be aiming for 7 hours minimum, preferably 9, non-negotiable, because the extra session just isn't worth it. Here's truth number 5. Strength and mobility are not optional extras. Every athlete I work with knows they should do strength work, and most of them do it when they have the time. And there's always another ride or run they could do instead. So actually there's never any time. But here's the reality after 50. You lose muscle mass every year unless you actively work to retain it. And you lose mobility. You lose the structural resilience that keeps you injury-free through a hard training block. So strength and mobility aren't the thing you do when training is done. They're part of the training and they should be your priority. If you drop them, then the rest of the program will start to unravel. Number 6, you can't out-train a bad diet and you can't starve yourself to race weight. 2 opposite mistakes, and I see both of them regularly. The first is the athlete who's doing 15 hours a week who believes that all that volume earns them the right to eat anything. It doesn't. Quality of fuel matters regardless of how many calories you're burning. The second mistake is the athlete who decides that 12 weeks out they're going to slash calories while trying to maintain full volume so they can arrive at race day lean. And what they actually do is arrive at race day lean, weak and exhausted. The body under stress doesn't perform very well. It just survives. Race weight is earned over months, not weeks. And it's earned through consistency of diet, not restriction. Okay, here's truth 7. That tapering you do, it's not wasted training time. It does make experienced athletes deeply uncomfortable, some of them anyway. When you spent months building fitness and suddenly you're doing less, it feels like you're throwing everything away you've worked for. But you're not. It's a physiological truth. You're just letting adaptation catch up with all that work. You've done the fitness training and it's already there, and the taper is what allows your body to actually express all of that effort on race day. So the athletes who keep training hard into the final 2 weeks, they're not arriving at the start line fresher, they're arriving tired with some fresh legs on top. And there's a difference between that, and race day exposes it. Here's truth number 8. High volume is probably not your issue anymore. Because if you've done several Ironman races, then I'm pretty certain your endurance base is already built. It exists, and you don't need to keep rebuilding it from scratch every season with a huge training volume. What you do need is quality training, the specific work that sharpens the fitness you've already got. So you need to do targeted sessions like the ones I mentioned earlier that address your actual limiters rather than doing more hours, because that's what you've always done. Volume for volume's sake after the age of 50 is expensive. It costs you recovery, it costs you the time to do strength work, and it costs sleep, and it rarely pays back what it takes. Now, number 9, VO2 max declines with age, but you can slow it down. And here's something most athletes over 50 don't hear enough of. Your VO2 max will decline, full stop. That's just biology, and there's no training protocol that's really going to truly reverse that. You can slow it down, but the rate of decline is significantly affected by how you actually train. So if you're an athlete who includes regular high intensity work, you'll retain far more of that capacity than somebody who trains exclusively at easy and moderate effort. You don't need to train like a 25-year-old, but you do need to put some hard work in the program on a regular basis. Not instead of easy aerobic training, just alongside it. Finally, your race selection, and it matters more than you think. After 50, your body's got specific strengths and specific vulnerabilities. A flat, fast course suits a different athlete to a hilly technical one. Racing heat demands different prep to one in cool conditions. But too many athletes who've got experience just pick races based on location or bucket list appeal. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but without asking whether that particular race suits where they are right now with their fitness. So if you want your best race, play to your strengths and pick events that give you the best chance of having a good day, because there's no prize for choosing the hardest possible option, apart from the prize for choosing the hardest possible option. So these aren't comfortable truths. They're ones that separate the athletes who keep improving after 50 from the ones who keep wondering why race day never quite delivers what the training promised. So if you're the sort of athlete who's right in the middle of your Ironman build right now, and you want to know whether you're actually on track or not, I've put together a free Ironman sanity checklist. You can find a link in the description below. It'll take you 2 minutes to complete, and it'll tell you exactly where you stand. I'm Simon Ward. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.